Most people believe the biggest retirement mistake is running out of money. It's not. The real mistake is far worse, and almost no one sees it coming until it's already happened. Because the most dangerous thing you can lose in retirement isn't dollars, it's control. And once it's gone, you don't get it back. In today's video, I want to show you something uncomfortable, something most financial advice quietly avoids, something that explains why so many people do everything right and still end up regretting how their retirement actually unfolded. Because here's the truth. After age 55, retirement stops being a financial decision. It becomes a timing decision. And the cost of getting the timing wrong is not measured in money, it's measured in years you never get to relive. Let me explain. I spent decades helping people plan for retirement. I ran the numbers, I modeled the scenarios, I sat across the table from hundreds of people who believed they were being smart by working just a little longer. And over time, a disturbing pattern kept showing up.
Not bankruptcy, not blown portfolios, not reckless spending. Something much quieter. People didn't lose retirement because they retired too early. They lost it because retirement stopped being their choice. At first, it didn't feel dangerous. You tell yourself, I'm healthy, I like my job well enough, one more year will make me feel safer. That sounds responsible, but here's the problem. Every year you delay after you are financially enough, you are not adding safety, you are increasing exposure. Exposure to health changes, exposure to burnout, exposure to stress-related decline, exposure to caregiving responsibilities, exposure to layoffs, reorganizations, policy shifts, and things completely outside your control. And none of that shows up in a retirement calculator. Most people think retirement is a straight line. Work a little longer, save a little more, feel a little safer. Real life doesn't work that way, because health doesn't decline linearly. Energy doesn't fade politely. Stress doesn't wait for permission. It holds, and then it drops. Which means if you wait until you feel ready, you often wait until you are no longer able. That's the trap. Let me show you how this actually plays out. I had a client, we'll call him John, 62 years old, accountant, disciplined saver, no flashy lifestyle. On paper, he was doing everything right. He told me he wanted to work 2 more years, not because he loved the work, not because he needed to, but because he wanted just a little more margin. So we modeled it. We factored in taxes, Social Security timing, Medicare premiums, lost Roth conversion years, missed low tax brackets. After everything was accounted for, those 2 extra years of work increased his lifetime retirement income by about $300 a month. That's it. 2 years of mornings, deadlines, stress, and postponed freedom for $300 a month. He stared at the screen, because no one had ever shown him the net trade before. And John's case wasn't unusual. In fact, it's common. After age 60, the financial return on additional work drops sharply. Why? Because you're often in higher tax.
The gross number lies. The net tells the truth. And yet, people keep working, not because the math tells them to, but because fear does. Here's the part no one says out loud. Fear feels rational, but fear is terrible at measuring opportunity cost, because fear only sees one risk. What if I run out of money? It ignores the other one. What if I lose the years when money would have mattered most? And that second risk is the one that shows up later, quietly, as regret. This is why nearly half of retirees say the same thing. They wish they had retired sooner. Not because they ran out of money, but because retirement arrived after their energy left. And once that happens, no spreadsheet can fix it. Now, let's pause here for a second, because this is the moment most people push back. They say, but I need certainty. But the market is unpredictable. But taxes could change. But healthcare is expensive. All of that is true. You never get 100% certainty. But here's what almost no one explains.
Chasing near-perfect financial certainty has a guaranteed cost. If you work 5 extra years to raise your probability of success from 85% to 95%, that feels smart. Until you realize there is a 100% chance you gave up those 5 years. Guaranteed loss, non-refundable, no extensions. That's not conservative. That's an asymmetric risk. Because if things go wrong financially, you can adjust, you can spend less, you can work part-time, you can consult, you can downsize. But if things go wrong with your health, you don't get options. This is where most retirement advice breaks. It treats money risk as catastrophic and time risk as theoretical. In reality, it's the opposite. Humans adopt to less money faster than they adopt to less life. Studies back this up. Research published in Social Science and Medicine shows that retiring earlier reduces stress-related health risks, particularly cardiovascular disease. BMC Geriatrics found that retirement can significantly improve life satisfaction, especially when health is uncertain. Why? Because once basic needs are met, the emotional return on extra money collapses, but the emotional return on time does not. That's why people in their 80s almost never say, "I wish I had worked more." They say, "I wish I had taken the trip. I wish I had slowed down earlier. I thought I had more time." And this regret cuts deeper than any budget constraint ever could. Now, here's something even more important, and this is where the real gap lives. The biggest risk after 55 isn't retiring too early. It's waiting until retirement becomes forced. Forced by a diagnosis, a caregiving crisis, burnout, a layoff, a body that no longer cooperates. At that point, retirement still happens, but not on your terms. And that difference is everything. When retirement is optional, it feels exciting. When it's forced, it feels like loss, even if you have money. This is why people who could have retired earlier but didn't often struggle the most emotionally. They didn't lose wealth. They lost agency. They didn't choose retirement. It chose them. Let me tell you about Linda. Linda delayed retirement because she wanted everything lined up perfectly. She waited for the right moment. That moment never came. Instead, her health declined faster than expected. Her energy dropped. Travel became harder. Her grandkids grew up while she was still almost ready. To this day, she doesn't talk about money. She talks about missed time. And that's the pattern I see over and over. People don't regret retiring when they were still capable. They regret waiting until capability was no longer guaranteed. Here's the psychological trap underneath all of this. We discount future joy for present security. We overvalue the paycheck we recognize. We undervalue the years we haven't lost yet. And society reinforces this. Productivity is praised, rest is delayed, enough is never enough. So people stay tethered to jobs they no longer need, not because they're building a better future, but because letting go feels scarier than staying stuck. This is especially true for high achievers. Doctors, executives, entrepreneurs. They're wired to win, so they keep playing even when the game has stopped paying out. Returns shrink, stress rises, life gets narrower, but the identity of successful worker is hard to release until it's taken away. And that's why the most dangerous retirement mistake isn't miscalculating a withdrawal rate. It's misunderstanding what you're actually optimizing. Because retirement is not about maximizing money, it's about maximizing life value. In life value is a blend of 3 things: health, sufficiency, and readiness. Ignore any one of them and the whole plan collapses. This is why financial-only planning fails so often. It's like baking a cake with just flour, plenty of substance, no satisfaction. You end up rich on paper and empty in practice. Now, let me reset the conversation here, because if you're still watching, this is where things shift. Most people think the decision is, should I retire early or late? That's the wrong question. The real question is, at what point does working longer stop increasing freedom and start increasing risk? Because once you cross that line, every additional year is not neutral. It's a gamble. A gamble that your health holds, a gamble that your energy stays, a gamble that nothing intervenes. And that gamble gets riskier with time. This is why conventional retirement calculators quietly mislead people. They assume each year of work adds equal value. Each year of life is interchangeable. Neither is true. The marginal value of extra work drops sharply after 60. The marginal value of healthy time skyrockets. And yet most planning tools only track one side of that equation: money, not life. Which is why people end up overworking by default, not because it's optimal, but because it's familiar. Here's the irony. Retiring earlier often increases flexibility. You gain tax planning windows, lower brackets, Roth conversion opportunities, control over income streams, reduced Medicare surcharges. Working longer can actually reduce financial efficiency, even while it feels safer. The paycheck comforts you. The math quietly works against you. And while you're focused on squeezing out a little more certainty, something else is slipping away. Your optionality. The ability to choose how, when, and why you spend your time. That's what people miss. Retirement isn't a finish line. It's a window. And windows close. Not dramatically, not with warning, but suddenly. One day you realize, I could have done this earlier.